Thanks for the reminder. I sure was getting ready to go on.
A nugget.
Yep. Okay, we are now. Okay, we're live everywhere. All right. Welcome, Brother Samuel. How you do, sir?
Hey,
He's driving. All righty.
yeah, I'm almost home.
Okay. All right. Tonight, I want to talk about a couple subjects that we got going on here. One is and from Sunday, the news report of a bishop in New York who supposedly was robbed, and some of the other information that's come out regarding that. And it looks like all of the information is leading toward this was staged or a hoax. But yeah, a lot of controversy is coming up about it. The other thing I want to talk about is because it's part of our creation and part of our life structure, because God saw Adam and said it wasn't good that man should be alone. And he created for him a helpmeet. And he created for him a woman. But we're living in an age, and I'm not dealing with this based on the new age thinking of sexuality and all that stuff. I'm talking about just the issues we have just between men and women, and the difference between, and this is not all women, but this is the what should I say, the climate of what we're dealing with socially, and it's the unrealistic expectations that the different sides have, and how this is causing an issue in the relationship development between men and women as husbands and wives, and even prospecting for husbands and prospecting for wives. So out of that, I don't know if any of you have heard T.D. Jakes' comments a couple Sundays ago, but he made a very, very poignant comment that I thought was dead on. But a lot of folks, you can tell when, you say if you throw a rock in a crowd of dogs, one that it hits is the one that hollers. Well, with humans, it's the opposite. Throw a rock in a crowd of humans, especially in the form of making an observation. If they are the guilty ones, they will be quiet, hoping that no one notices they are reacting. So those are a couple of topics I want to talk about. And I'm going to start out with that story of Sunday. The story and what they showed on a few of the clips that circulated, the bishop was up preaching, and shortly into his presentation, he just falls to the ground. And then you don't hear any clamor or people reacting, but then you see this hooded guy in all black come on the screen. And if you watch it closely, to the right of him, there's a young man looks like sitting on the side of the pulpit with a Bible, like he was reading. I guess he was reading for the bishop, but he didn't move. He didn't react. I mean, he had no expression of fear on his face. He wasn't startled. And, and so some people were commenting about, this looks like a hoax. And a vlogger got on and commented, and this bishop calls in on the guy's live, Instagram live, and starts cussing him out. The bishop, was cussing him out now. And saying that they were making a joke out of them getting robbed, and the guy had pulled a gun on his daughter, and that he had taken $400,000 of jewelry off from around his neck, you know, which included his bishop ring, his bishop cross, his Cartier watch, and a few other chains he had on his neck, all worth $400,000. And then with what they took from his wife, mounted to $1 million worth of jewelry. Well, the questions that were asked, and I would have asked them myself, if you're doing wearing that much jewelry anyway to come to preach, you at church, why your wife got on over $500,000 worth of jewelry and you got right under $500,000 worth of jewelry on? You know, it was just all, it looked staged. And the fact that you heard only one comment in the background, because, you know, if someone had rushed in the church and if someone was talking and saying, oh, the people were reacting, I'd be on the mic if I was the pastor. Hey, calm down, everybody, just cooperate. Ain't none of the stuff you got worth all this. Just cooperate. You know, I wouldn't just lay down and be quiet. But it all looked staged. That's what I'm saying. It just looked staged. And so that brings me to this. What would cause a man to pull a stunt like this and have all this national attention? And should he get the same kind of response that Jesse Smollett did for that fake attack on the gays in the subway and be charged with a crime? Because the police got involved, they were called, and a report was done. Same as with Jesse Smollett. Now they persecuted him, and he was found guilty and given some time and a fine. If in fact this was a hoax, and this all is the way it looks to be adding up, do y'all think that this preacher should also be brought on charges, same as anyone else who creates this hoax? The floor is open.
You know, he also came on, he also posted online, or he attempted to post online his comments about it. And he couldn't get his story straight. Because when I first saw it, he was sitting at the start in his message, and then he go, okay, and then he lays down on the floor. And I caught, and my wife and I both noticed too, the young man sitting on the corner. I said, now, this dude sitting there with a Bible in his hand, and he ain't upset, he's not moving, he's just sitting there looking like this is just another day. And he didn't move until they left out. Then he had people running around. Okay, let's go. How big is this church? I'd like to know. That these people that he's in, and these people can come into this church and rob him. It must be a small church.
Well, everybody, most of the people that commented and all of them that know him said it's a small building and he has about 20 members.
But he drives around the city, they say, in a Bentley.
Yep.
And a Rolls Royce and another type of car he drives around New York. Again, where's he getting his money from?
Well, he has another job.
He claims to be a real estate broker, and that you know, he makes good money.
Well,
Do it.
but it seemed kind of funny the dude sitting over in that corner never moved.
But he's also been to jail. He's also been to jail for fraud recently.
Oh, okay. Well,
there it is.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
There it is.
He's been in jail for fraud, for check kiting, and for scamming folks.
That settles it.
I don't know. Got to watch them bishops.
Yeah, what it works hard. It works hard where you ain't got nothing.
They make it look bad for the bishops, especially them bishops. I'm gonna throw a dig now. That don't keep their word and say they didn't say something when that's what everybody else heard. That's what they said.
Yeah, amen to that one.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
I know that's right.
I know ones like that.
Yeah, don't we?
Sit up, swear up and down that I didn't say that.
I didn't say that, and all of us heard him say it.
And you got 5 people heard him say it, and say, I didn't say that.
You have a whole church that was sitting there heard you say it.
Yeah. So, do you all think that if in fact this is a hoax, he should be punished for this?
Yeah.
I think it's wrong the way the church goes after other folks that do things and make them accountable and responsible, but cover up things when men and women of the cloth fight under the covering of the cross. And that's the cross they wear around their neck, not the cross of Jesus that died on the cross for redemption. They hide behind the cross they hang around their neck. That's what I call it. But anyway, yeah, there should be something done about that. I'm going to see I should have had it queued up. Lord Jesus, that clip from T.D. Jakes. Just a second. Let me see if I can.
I think if you put yourself out there and claim that what you are, you should be willing to take what comes at you.
Yep.
You're saying you should be able to take whatever you put out.
If you claim to be a bishop, you're claiming to be a leader leader and a representative of Christ, and you'd be called out, you should be able to stand up and take what's been said. If you put it out, if he's proven wrong, and this is proven a hoax, he should be prosecuted.
Yep. All right, I found a clip. The clip, okay, but it's somebody else's. Step it up, yeah. But he says they're raising women to be men, is what Jakes is saying. Let me see if I can find it. I got a couple of versions up about it, but it's what should I say? Who's it? They're commenting on it first before he says anything. Well, let me just kind of paraphrase it because I couldn't get the clip I wanted. So let's just do it this. What he basically said was that, we're raising women now to be like men, and that women are not celebrated for their femininity. Feminism now has the thing, women are praised and celebrated for their brashness, for their attitudes, for their bragging about they don't need a man, they can do this without a man, they can buy their own house, they can buy their own car, they can fend for themselves. And he said, that's all well and fine. He said, but the problem is that don't take the fact that you can do all this because, situations have arise to make that possible, because, everyone are fighting for equal pay, for equal work and all that, and being recognized, for their value in the work world. But the fact that these women want a man or want a husband, and they're looking for certain things in a relationship, don't make it so that you telling a man, I don't need you, but and you come in wanting a man, but he said, but you give him nothing for him to pour into or to build a relationship with you, because you act as though you can exist without him. Even to the point, I don't know if you all remember, oh man, this is back in the days of the Murphy Brown show, when women, because of a series, during that series, there was a one season where they focus on Murphy Brown being a single woman in this, I forget whether she was in a company or part
She
of
was in the news. She was in advertisement or something.
yeah, advertised exec or
Yeah.
something, yeah. But she made all this money. She's a single woman, you know, boss lady and all. But she wanted to have a child, but she did not want to involve the man in the rearing of the child and all that. They made this such a big thing that a woman doesn't need a man to do all the woman stuff, including having a child. Well, the ludicrousy of all of that is women that did that and that are doing that are also overwhelmed by those additional responsibilities, and they are eliminating the input and impact of a man in the life of that child. There was one of those social media posts that went out a while back. The girl was saying, "Where are all of our kings?" And then a guy comes on and says, "Wait, I'll answer that question. We're at work, making money and saving our money up and buying us a house and getting us a passport so we can go overseas and find a wife that want to come and don't mind cooking and cleaning and, you know, raising our children and you know, being a good wife. We're saving up our money and investing it in retirement accounts and setting ourselves up so we don't have to worry about one of you American women coming along trying to get half." And you start naming all the problems that men are having, and you know, which answers the question as to where are they and why aren't, you know, where are the men and why aren't they available? And then he says, and then how he says there's a great majority of us who are being raised to act the feminine and having tendencies and characteristics of women because we're being raised by single mothers who wouldn't allow the fathers to, you know, be a part and have some impact and influence on the lives of their sons. And then we got some of them who have become so feminized they even want to be women. You know, he just went down the list of all the reasons why. And then TD Jakes comes and makes that statement. And then I ran across this story. I want to read it to y'all. And it's called The Husband Store in New York City. A store that sells new husbands has just opened in New York City, where a woman may go to choose a husband. Among the instructions at the entrance is a description of how the store operates. You must visit the store only once. There are 6 floors, and the attributes of the men increase as the shopper ascends the flights. There is, however, a catch. You may choose any man from a particular floor, or you may choose to go up a floor, but you cannot go back down except to exit the building. So a woman goes to the husband store to find a husband. On each floor, the sign on the door read as such. Floor number 1, these men have jobs. She goes to floor number 2. Floor number 2, these men have jobs, and love kids. She passes that floor, goes to floor number 3. These men have jobs, love kids, and are extremely good looking. Wow, she thinks, but feels compelled to keep going. She goes to the 4th floor and the sign reads, these men have jobs, love kids, and are drop dead good looking and help with the housework. Oh, mercy me, she exclaimed. I can hardly stand it. Still, she goes to the 5th floor and the sign reads, these men have jobs, love kids, are drop dead gorgeous, help with the housework, and have a strong romantic streak. She is so tempted to stay and make a choice, but she goes to the 6th floor and the sign reads, you are visitor number 3,261,496,012 to this floor. There are no men on this floor. This floor exists solely as proof that women are impossible to please. Thank you for shopping at the husband store. So that he would not be discriminated against, he opened a store across the street for men called the wife store. And the rules were the same. You can only visit the store once. There are 6 floors, and the attributes of women increase as the shopper ascends the flights. There is, however, a catch. You may choose any woman from a particular floor, or you may choose to go up a floor, but you cannot go back down except to exit the building. So the 1st floor says, this floor has women that love sex. Floor number 2 says, this floor has women that love sex and have money. Floor number 3 through 6 has never been visited.
Oh, so I guess nobody wanted nobody to cook.
No, the whole thing says that men are easy to please.
Oh.
They don't have all that list of stuff and keep adding on. They either pick from floor 1 or 2. No one has ever visited floor 3 through 6.
That's a shame.
See, we did there was a survey done some years back, and there was a lady, a psychologist who specialized in marital relationship. And she wrote this book called The 7 Essential Elements of a Good Marriage. And the very first element she listed was unrealistic expectations. The problem that exists today, and this is not a bias or a sexist observation, it's the way it is. Whenever women have for so long been ridiculed and labeled if certain things occur in their life before they get married, i.e. having children, having multiple sexual partners. There's a thing now going around, they want to know about what's your body count? How many men have you been with? Sad thing is, every man wanted to marry a virgin, but most of the men that were getting married weren't virgins themselves. And they didn't expect to be eliminated for such, but they would eliminate a woman based on how many sexual partners she had had. It's always been set up lopsided and kind of like we lost Samuel, like a penalty on the woman. And out of that also, you have this dynamic that has been created now, as women moved into the workforce and started making more money and getting more into careers and becoming more successful. Now, you have this scenario, like I told you guys about the couple that used to go to our church that worked at General Motors. And when the wife got promoted, she decided that her husband should no longer be the head because she made more money than him. The Bible never dictates headship based upon how much money is made. And when we get to Proverbs 31, it's going to be some interesting characteristics you learn about this virtuous woman. And her knack to be so good at investing and handling money, and her husband trusting that she could increase what he brought and put in her hands. That's another aspect. But what we have now are a lot of scenarios more where women are looking for, in some cases, unrealistic expectations, and in other cases, setting the bar too high, and no longer wanting to be in partnership, because in one of the characteristics that God stated when he created Eve was that she would be a helpmeet. He made that very clear, that Eve would be a helpmeet. Now, they don't want partners now. There's, and this true story, I've been looking at a lot of these different sites where women are coming on asking for advice, and other women and psychologists trying to help them to find a mate. But this one in particular, she's in Washington, D.C. She teaches and is employed by Howard University and Howard Hospital. She's a PhD. She's a doctor of neurology. Makes 5 figures. And here's her deal. She's been proposed to over 5 times in the last 20 years. She's turned them all down, and even said that a few of them were great relationships, and she even was in love with a couple of them, but wouldn't marry him because she didn't want to have it interfere with her personal goals for her career. Now she's 40, 41. She wants to get married. And I did make a comment about, I said she lied, because she said she was 5'5", she had a medium build, she had a good shape, but now when you looked at her facial features, her neck and all the fat around her neck and shoulders, and even the top of her arms, I said, oh, no. She's 5'5", but, she probably one of them 5'5" that wear size 12 or 14, but she
5'5" both ways.
Yeah, okay, 5'5" both ways. There you go.
Oh my word.
Yeah. But anyway, here was her requirements. She wanted a man 38 to 50. He had to be minimum 6 feet. Minimum. He had to earn high 6 figures. High 6 figures is over $500,000 a year. She owns a house and a condo, and she's, like I say, she's a doctor of neurology at Howard Hospital, and she teaches at the university. She's employed by the university too. And the lady said to her, well, what if he's only 5'10" or 5'8"? You're only 5'5". She's, no, I want him at least 6 feet. She's not willing to compromise, or as they say, settle. She said, what if he makes as much as you? Well, he needs to make more because, I already have 2 mortgages and blah, blah, blah. Wait. And so the lady says, well, you're already paying your mortgages. Are you looking for him to take them over so you can have all of your income as disposable just for you? Well, he's going to be my husband. He should be able to come in and, blah, blah. Yeah, but you already had this, So what are you bringing to the table that he benefits? And of course, me.
Yeah, but what do you have?
Huh?
I see, yeah, but what do you have?
But she says, all she's bringing is her. All the other stuff is, that's hers. They have no, he's got to come with something. And then she wants to have a child or 2. Now she's already 41. The oldest woman that had a successful childbirth with a healthy child, they say, is 46. They've had a couple of, they claim, had them a little older, but.
Yeah, that's not true.
Huh?
I said, that's not true. There's been older.
Well, older, but not in great numbers. And generally the older they get, the less likely the child will be a healthy child. Because there's a lot goes on the older that they get. Okay. Oh, Lord. Okay. I'm going to have to call her after Bible study. My daughter just texted me. Oh, she says she'll keep me posted. She's back at the hospital. They put her on some antibiotics. I don't know, maybe she's having a reaction to them. But anyway, the thing though is, at 41, and with all the demands she's making, and that her pool of availability is dwindling, because she also said she would prefer a man with no children. If he had one, they might could work through that. But to be in that category and have all of those requirements, and this is one of the things that the lady said to her. She says, you do realize that most men in the age bracket you pick would choose a younger woman over you, and one with less requirements. And she said, yeah, but some of my friends, they have succeeded in the last 5 years, but now they started looking 5 years ago. And some of them got married 10, 15 years ago. And so do you think that she's being unrealistic, or should she position herself to decide maybe she does need to make some adjustments in her requirements? And here's the thing that another woman psychologist said. She says, when you tell a woman, she was a relationship coach for, I think she said 12 years. And she says her most frustrating clients were women, because every time she would tell them that they would have to, what's the word? She didn't say submit, she said compromise, or something, another word she used, it'll come to me. She said they weren't willing because of what she said. And she said what they didn't understand, what I was saying to that is that if settle, that was the word. She said, when I tell them you may have to settle, and they didn't understand that. And she would later explain to them, when I say settle, I mean, you need to understand and accept the fact that what you're looking for isn't even available. So you're going to have to settle for something less than that, because what you're looking for isn't even available. And she says the majority of them would tell her, it's out there, and that's what I want, and that's what I'm going for in the story. What do you all think about all of that? I know I threw a lot out there. Let me hear some feedback.
I was going to say, ask that question again, but I kind of think that maybe that was a loaded question, Pastor.
I know.
That was a loaded question. But it seems to me that, maybe both in response to the questions you were asking. You said if she needs to settle, or if what was the other part of that question?
Lower her expectations and realize that what she's looking for isn't available.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. So settling really means I'm going to have to really realize that I'm being unreasonable in my request or in my expectation.
Yeah, because I think it comes to a point where, because I had a computer teacher who talked about his sister. He's all, she ain't doing nothing, and she's not. Basically, she's waiting for Prince Charming, thinking she's a princess. And I laughed about it, but then I thought about it. I'm like, there are a lot of women who, there's nothing wrong with having standards, and you have preferences about certain things. But if you've lived to a certain extent where you have just made it like virtually impossible in the natural sense, we're talking about the natural sense, you've made it virtually impossible for you to find those things that you have on your list. You need to start getting realistic and start looking at it at the standpoint of the male's or the prospective husband's point of view, and see that, well, that's unreasonable. If she's, like, he brought up how she looks and how she supposedly says she looks, whatever, and then what she wants. And you 6-foot men, they can be tall, but she probably wants him built. He can be 6 foot and just 6 feet wide as well, but he may not be exactly what she's looking for. And then she's, gonna throw that out the window and say, well, he's not exactly what I wanted. Well, what if you're not exactly what a man wants that you want? At some point she needs to kind of grow up. I just don't think she's grown up in her mind. She may be successful, but you kind of got to grow up and be realistic about certain things, where you have to realize you've put yourself in a spot where the pickings are slim. You know how you go out to pick fruit sometimes. Sometimes with my mom and my family, my mom, my dad, my family, we go and get persimmons. My mom likes persimmons. And you can look at the trees, and some of them you need ladders for or whatnot. But if you go to a tree where, you ain't got no ladder and you short and you're trying to get the ones at the very tippy top, that doesn't make any sense. You can't get up there. You sitting up there trying, about to break your neck, trying to get up there to get it, and you can't reach it. And then if you go to a tree with doesn't have hardly anything, but you're like, oh, those, that this is the good tree right here, and you're trying to pick fruit from that, and you keep finding bad fruit on it, but it hardly has any on. Well, you're going to the wrong tree. So it's just that there's some women who just put themselves in places, and they're thinking, I'm going to get a good yield from this, or I'm going to find the right person from this in these situations, and in the situation that I'm in, if that makes sense. So it just seems like she needs to grow up and be realistic. Yeah, you can have preferences, like I said, but at some point it just gets difficult in the natural standpoint, where you're not being realistic to yourself and everybody else that you're trying to, marry, I guess.
Right.
She don't want to get married. She just don't want to, because any man that's making a high 6 figures, that's 6 feet or better, halfway decent looking, successful, why would you want someone that wants you to take on their baggage? And that's what most men look at. I'm not going to take on your baggage. Why should I? I don't have to. For you, I can get you every day of the week, and it don't cost me that much. So she's dreaming, and somebody need to wake her up. She may be a doctor. She may be a professor. She may be very successful, but I agree with Devin. She needs to grow up, because that's thinking like a child. Because the average man regardless of what he looks like, based on the requirements she's asking, is very successful, is not stupid. If he was stupid, he wouldn't be successful. Okay? And it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Brother Sam muted himself. I guess he's not going to say anything.
I was actually preoccupied
Oh,
in the
Devin
background.
got him out.
He's multitasking. He's
But
multitasking.
yeah, she called me out. Every time I try to get out, they call me back in. See, Godfather Part 3, you know. The Don says this.
Uh-oh.
On the first subject, if you file a false police report, you are subject to prosecution. And I do believe if this turns out to be false, then anyone, not just him, should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law and be made to answer for. I'm a old, y'all remember Beretta? I'm an old Beretta fan. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
Don't do the crime.
So that's that. And I also, had issues with why you need to have so much jewelry on at
In
church.
the first place.
But I'm gonna leave that alone.
I'm gonna come blinging out on the show next time.
Who you trying to
Oh,
impress? So, you said it's, but same thing. A lot of the athletes, it happens to them. Same thing because they're out. So now the second thing, this particular anybody in a relationship, you have to have realistic expectations. And it's like in real estate, there's a reason why we ask our clients to get pre-approved. Because everybody that comes to me want to buy a house, they want to go to the best community in the city. Yeah, here in Stockton, one of the places they want to go to what's called Brookside. But if you go to Brookside and I show you a property in Brookside and you fall in love with it, and then we go to the lender after the fact, and the lender says, you can't buy that house, then now you not only there's a level of embarrassment. Sometimes you're deflated. Some people stop looking.
Yep, and it's your fault because you took them there.
Exactly. Of course, they always blame the agent. Now, rather than knowing what you have to work with, same thing with a vehicle. You have used car money, but you want to go to the
Range Rover lot.
Range Rover dealer, and buy a brand new one, and they laugh you out of the dealership.
The monthly payment is more than what you have for the down payment.
The month payment is more than your house payment.
Yeah.
Even an apartment.
But although most people don't even have a house, they buy the car first,
apartment.
and then they buy the house. Instead of buying a garage and then putting a car in the garage, they buy the car and then they go look for a garage. But that's another story. So the Bible teaches us to be good stewards over what God has given us. So that and to be temperate in all things. So I have to, I'm not saying lower your standards. You need to have standards because that's what's happening a lot of times in the church. The church has lowered its standards. accept anybody and anything. But you do have to know what it is that you're looking for. It's like,
but can I ask a question?
yes, sir.
Is there a difference in lowering your standards and adjusting your expectations?
No.
Yes.
Oh no, excuse me. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Because your expectations may, just like I said, the house. You want to live in Brookside, but you have, and this is not to downplay this area because it's some nice homes in the south side of Stockton.
Yeah.
But you may have to start. You may have to go there to buy that house.
Right.
But your goal was to become a homeowner.
Right. And I said that because the church has standards that are reasonable because
Yes.
they are the requirements of God.
Well, they should have standards that are reasonable.
Right.
Well, I'm just thinking, for instance, like, we in the church, we need a musician. We don't care where he or she come from, what their background, what they do. They don't have to. They can show up right before it's time to play and leave right after it's over. They don't have to come to Bible study. They don't have to, they don't have to listen to you preach.
And they can date all the girls
that's
in the church. They can date all the girls in the church they want.
That's
And the
having
boys.
no standards. That's having no standards right there,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah. So you have to have standards, but you have to have reasonable expectations. Same thing like, okay, something that our father taught me. You go apply for a job and they tell you the job pays XYZ. Let's just say $5 an hour. I know this is the 2022 and that's outdated, but let's just say. And then the day you start, you complaining that you're only making $5 an hour. But you applied for the job. And you knew what the level of pay was. So you have to go into it with your eyes wide open and understand that, because you might find a man, or if you're a woman, or a woman if you're a man, who meets 9 out of your 10 criteria, and you turn them down for that one, and
That's at least an A minus.
end up alone.
Still, now if you only had 3 requirements and he didn't meet 2 of them, that makes sense. But 9 out of 10, that's not bad, especially if it's one you're like, I can do without it.
Right.
8 out of 10.
But
especially to my ladies, let me say this: there's some things that's a strikeout automatic. It's like if you take the driving test, a commercial driving test, and when you come to the railroad track, you don't execute that maneuver perfectly, you automatically fail.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies, it's some things. If he don't meet up to that, he automatically fail. That's for my ladies.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, you got some women who have 3 requirements, and all 3 of them are unrealistic.
Well, yeah.
See, like I tell you another one. The girl that had 5 children by 5 different men.
Uh-huh.
She's only 30. She's less than 30 years old too now. A guy meets her in a store where he works. She leaves her ID. He runs out, catches her in her car. And because she's a pretty girl, he starts talking to her. And she goes, look, I ain't got time. You wasting my time. I ain't got time for all that. What you really come out here for? And he said, well, you left your ID and I come out to see if I can get to know you. She said, I ain't got time for that shit. But what you doing at that little job anyway? You ain't got nothing. Is that the only job you have? He said, what do you mean little job? I'm the manager and I make pretty good money, Well, where you live? He told her where she told him, and then he told her where he lived. And she said, what kind of house you got? He said, I got a little 2-bedroom. 2-bedroom? What you doing that little house? What you drive? He said, Monte Carlo. What year is it? He said, 2013. What year? 2013. What year we in? He said, 2021. What year we in? 2020. And you driving a what? He said, wait, what's this all about? He said, what? She said, well, you got any kids? He said, yeah, I have one. Oh, that's too many. I sure ain't got time for you. You got too many kids and your house too little. He said, well, what you talking about? How many kids you have? She said, I got enough for both of us. I got 5.
Mm-hmm. Unrealistic.
He got a 2-bedroom house. Why did she say it
all
was
she
too
needed.
little? Because she wants somebody got a house big enough to what? House her and her kids.
To foot
And
But the thing is, he didn't need all that room. He
exactly.
said he didn't need all that room. What he needed that room for? He
See,
ain't with her. That's
You better just
stupid.
go get a dog.
But
That's
she's
stupid.
yeah, and she's saying, you
All
don't
men are
need-
dogs.
She said, you don't need no kids. I got enough for both of us. And look, how you gonna just come in and see? That's another thing. When in our time that we live in, we have a lot of blended families.
Mhm.
The dynamics of a blended family, as opposed to a family that couple starts on their own, are totally different. You have to have a relationship where if there are other children, they have to be accepted by both parties and treated as though they are theirs together. And there can be no difference made. Not only that, you cannot make a difference in how the other parent interacts with that new blended family. You got to also include the respect for the other parent in that as well, the outside parent. That's it's so, they don't think or make decisions for their life based on long term. Oh yeah, I'm having fun now. I'm enjoying my life. This one girl, she was a stripper. She turned 33. She decided now she wants to get married. She got 3 kids, but she said this: I'm looking for a high dollar man that can take care of me and my 3 kids so I can live the good life, because I'm tired of stripping.
You didn't do no preparation.
Somebody help me with that one.
She did
You
not
see-
prepare. You want well, let's just put it like this. You want God to rain blessings on you and you ain't prepared for rain. That's like
You don't have an umbrella.
yeah, I was thinking of the movie, you guys seen Facing the Giants, right?
No, I haven't seen it.
But what? Anyway.
Me
You get a
neither.
chance to watch it. You get a chance to watch it. It's pretty good.
All right.
But the Facing the Giants, this old man, he was going around praying for these children's lockers. I think it was a Christian school. I can't quite remember. And the coach was, he's praying for a blessing for not just his team, for the school, for it was just, it was all bad. And he was like, he wanted God to move and he was trusting God, but he wasn't really, not really doing anything about it per se. It was kind of like, yeah, I prayed, but you're not moving like you expect God to actually give you the blessing. And he comes in, the older man comes in, he said, you need to start preparing for rain. And so, he's like, what? He's like, you need to start preparing for rain. You need to get things in order, move like, that's what you're going to end up at. You're going down this road and the blessings down there. Well, you need to move that direction and actually start preparing for it. My mom, she knew that some years ago, my mom and dad, they had one vehicle and she just knew that, God was going to bless them with another vehicle. She went and bought, what do you call those things? The shade, to keep the sun out for the windshield. She went and bought one of those, didn't have the car yet, but she knew it was coming. She was preparing for that car. So, there's certain things as prospective husbands and wives that you're supposed to be doing in preparation for.
Hope
Some
chest.
places, what'd you say?
A hope chest. They used to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And whatever you have to do, put yourself in the mindset, if I was a wife or if I was a husband, how should I act? How should I react to this or that? what expectations might be wanted of me, what things I may have to compromise, what things I may have to put aside. Am I being selfish and wanting this or that? And, you start observing yourself and preparing yourself to be joined with one other person. Because a lot of these people aren't preparing at all to be joined with one other person. They just want all the material things that comes with a marriage. They don't want any of the natural and spiritual and just, emotional things that come with it.
Well, I thought that just come automatically. Well, I got to work for it.
A marriage is work. Any relationship is work.
Yeah. See, it's like praying for God to bless you with a job, but you never go look for a job.
Or asking for a job that you're not qualified to do.
That too.
And never going out. A lot of people say, I want to be this, but they say, well, in order to do that, you have to go to school and you have to do this. In school, you have to get this type of credentials, or you need this degree in order to get this type of work. And they say, why? I can do that. He's doing it. Well, he went to school for 8 years.
No. I want to be a heart surgeon because they make good money.
Yeah. Guys you walked up to me and said, man, I can do your job. Anybody can do what you do.
But you ain't licensed. And you ain't got qualifications.
I went to school for 6 years to be able to do what I'm doing. How long you been? I dropped out of high school. Yes, you're right. You can do what I do. But people, you have to be prepared to. It's just people's expectations of things are not realistic.
So when you look at that, then in the realism and standards, okay, having a standard is one thing, but you cannot cross and make a standard an unrealistic requirement or expectation, because now it's not a standard. You're now fantasizing and asking for something that may not be possible, and I see more and more of this. I mean, I was shocked to see how many women think that way. They want the baller. They want the high 6-figure income earner. They want they don't want to cook. They don't want to clean. They don't want to wash clothes. They want you to make enough money so that if they do get pregnant, they can hire a nanny, because they don't want to take care of their own kids or raise them. They don't want to be a soccer mom, so don't buy them a van.
Bye, Felicia.
A Range Rover is a nice van. Let me tell you that.
Wait.
You can buy me a van.
Sam, did you hear what Quit said?
No, what you say?
She said, bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. See, women are used to seeing the end results. They don't see the work that gets put behind these accomplishments and, dare I say, accoutrements that are, attached to these people who worked hard for whatever it is that they have. You want the lottery experience without winning the lottery or work or, putting into whatever it is it takes to get, what looks like a lottery experience in their mind. That's all they're looking for is a lottery experience, because with the lottery, you put the thing in and boop, yeah, you won. But realistically, they didn't win the lottery. They had to work hard for that amount of money that they have and that they're earning and the lifestyle they're leading. Not everybody just got overnight. Now, some people did inherit old money, but that's not everybody. And then some of those people who did inherit old money, sometimes you see them, it tanks because they didn't have the work ethic it took to maintain that old money. Some people worked hard from the ground up as young people, because there's still people in the Fortune 500. There's young people in there too. They worked hard to get where they're at. They all didn't just get opportunities just handed to them on a silver platter. When Bishop was talking about, what he had to do to get where he's at with his, profession, I was thinking of Hidden Figures and Mary Jackson, what she had to do to become an engineer. And the person that was over her department, the guy that was ahead of that, you know, he was like, I'm a Jew, you know, and I'm in an American, or I forgot all the different details. Basically, he was like, I shouldn't be where I'm at. You need to go ahead and work hard too, just because they told you, oh, now you need, you know, this qualification, which we know that was wrong how they were doing that. But the fact of the matter was, he's like, you still got to keep pushing. So she's like, okay. And, you know, she, you know, despite whatever her husband said, she's like, look, I can do this. I just need to go to night classes. I'll do whatever I got to do in order to get this position. So she did. And she went and made her case to the judge. And I don't know if you all have seen the movie or know the story, but, you know, she got the opportunity to go to night school so she can get the degree or that class done so she could get the position she wanted. She worked all of that. You didn't see Hidden Figures?
No, I did see that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good.
Now look, see, and you make a very good point, see, because the fact that most people nowadays forget how the whole divorce settlement and all that came about and how women started getting a lion's share in a divorce settlement. These first cases were women who had been with these men as young wives, had helped build their businesses, had raised their children, and then they get up a certain age, these men wanted to divorce them and go get a younger woman or a trophy and kick her by the wayside. Well, they had people that went in and argued, wait a minute, this woman had this career, she laid aside her career, helped him build his business, helped him build, you know, his success, raised his children, has done all this, and now he's putting her out and want her now to lower her standard of living, not because she did anything to cause the failure of this marriage, but simply because he wants a trophy and wants to trade her for a trophy wife. Well,
And they want to know why she snapped.
exactly. Now, those are what you call, now that's fairness there. But when you go for the purpose, I'm gonna trap this guy who's making 50 million a year as an athlete. I'm gonna go get pregnant. When I have the baby, I'm gonna leave him and I'm gonna make sure we're in a state where I can go file for child support and get a percentage of his income for 18 years, you know, and I'm gonna live good. Now, she said she's not thinking about the child's welfare. She's not thinking about the child's standard of living. She's thinking about, how do I get paid and don't have to work? See, that's a different thing than a woman who has invested and been a helpmeet, been the neck that held the head up. You know, that's a whole nother story. But this thing now, they're what they call gold diggers. They're looking for the payday without having to go to work or work for the payday. It doesn't work that way. You don't just get paid, you know, just because you know somebody. That's not realistic.
Now,
So you make a good point there, Devin. And
they're not putting.
we've created this now in society where women are actually setting men up so that they can simply get paid. But what they don't realize is there's a day that child gonna turn 18. And when that child turns 18, your payday just ended.
Right.
What you gonna do now? You're 18 years older. You don't have the body you used to have. And you're too old to have any more children. So you can't go, you know, make another cash withdrawal out the ATM.
You know, I know someone, young lady. She took her and her boyfriend got married. A friend of mine, they got married. She stopped going to school. They were both in college. She quit college to work while he completed medical school. And she worked at it. She worked while he completed medical school. Once he completed medical school, went into residency, she went back to school. She completed her education. Now both of them are working and they're doing well. But it was the idea that both of them had to put the work in order for them to be successful. It became a two-way street. And I think a lot of women and some men, men too, don't want to put the work in that's required in order to be successful. She wants to stay at home, be a stay-at-home mom, and she wants him to stop what he's doing and take a 9 to 5 so he can take care of them. Or he wants her to stop working to make sure she take care of the house. Or you got to work, as long as you don't make more money than I do, I'm fine, we're fine. But then once she started making more money than him, she said, oh, you think, and she started thinking, well, I'm gonna bring the bread home, so you have to do what I say. So we're at that point where we're getting away from what the Bible says that puts together, you're one. If you're one, you think it's one. But we done got away from that. The Bible tells us that you leave your mother and father and you become one soul. Because the Father and I are one, and you're one. We done got away from that oneness. And that's what the world is what's taking over now. It's in the church and in the household also.
Yeah. Well, and it's sad. Do y'all know what the new ATM is for a lot of these young women?
Any man.
ATM, athletes talent money.
Oh.
They're going after the athletes that have the talent, who make big money on these contracts. And they got women who have been online telling girls how to do this, how to get the bag. And, it was the rappers, at first, but that went, okay, Sam, that went by the wayside because they found out quickly that a lot of these artists weren't making the kind of money they thought. That money wasn't being made because they were just getting paid expenses, living good after they hit. And when they were one-hit wonders, and that was it. Wasn't no more money. Yes, sir.
Just to bring a little balance to the equation, these women would not be able to do these things if these men weren't falling for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just like I said a few weeks ago, we have OnlyFans, Instagram models, and TikTok models because you got these men, they call them simps now, who pay big money for these women to get online and do all this stuff. If it wasn't a venue, all of these porn sites and all the stuff these women making money off of and being ridiculed by people, but they making good money, it's because there's an outlet for it. If you didn't have people buying stolen merchandise, people would stop stealing.
Right.
It's what they sow, huh? You
It's
sow
what
a
they
hoe,
sow.
that's what's gonna grow.
That's right. What you sow, you reap. So if men would stop patronizing all this stuff, see, it's the fault of the men who are paying. Why would you pay $10 because someone posted a picture of her breast and you're gonna send $10 to her? And you get $1 million men to do that, she just made $10 million minus the cut she got to pay the site.
That's the virtual pole.
Huh?
I said that's the virtual pole dancer.
Yes. And the thing about it is, guess what? She's making money with sex without having to even do that.
Supply and demand.
That's it.
Supply and demand.
First law of economics.
Supply and demand. And then the new one is these women who are IG, they call them IG models, Instagram models, who are actually nothing but prostitutes. They actually, a man will give a like to them. They find out who he is. They'll, as they call it, slide in his DM, direct messenger. I had to learn all this stuff. I started asking around, asked my grandson, man, what this is? What this is? They go in the DM, send a message. The guy comes by, and one guy, he told his story a few months ago. He says the girl slid into his DMs, invited him over, and they happen to live 30 minutes from each other. He gets over there. She got everything all set up. She provided the drink, the smoke, and the atmosphere. And then he says she started coming on to him, and he think he about to do the do, and she stops and says, "Now, you know, I don't do this for free." He said, "Huh? Oh yeah, so-and-so was here last week. He dropped 10 bands. I don't do nothing for less than 3 bands." He said, "You want me to give you $3,000 for sex? But you a prostitute?" She said, "No, I'm taking care of me and my 2 daughters." That's still prostituting. You know,
That's a call girl,
a
but
call girl. Yeah. Well, you know, that's a high price prostitute. But the point I'm making is that it's legal and it's successful only because why? She got takers. Men are paying for the privilege to lie with her. And I don't know why they call it sleeping, because there ain't no sleeping going on. No. Say, how many women have you slept with? My wife. The rest of them I wasn't sleeping with. I'm telling you.
That's a white man terminology. You don't hear,
Yeah, I know. But
you don't hear
hey,
black men just saying sleep.
I wouldn't listen. No, I wasn't chasing them women to do no sleep. Ain't no sense me. I ain't gonna tell y'all that lie. That Jesus had to save me. But the point I'm making, it wouldn't be if they didn't have an outlet. That's why you got all this stuff. We're on our daughters about what they're doing, and they're making money, but it's men that are doing this. They paying for them to undress in front of a camera. They're paying for them to do all the stuff they're doing and to dress provocatively and put all these pictures up. And you got now these girls on these sites, all they have is pics up, and men are going through like, and if they get a certain amount of likes, because the people who run the site can get advertisement, they get paid for so many likes. And if they got what they call it, a monetized account, then men can pay money to them for more provocative pics and go to another part of their site to go to another level to see more explicit. I mean, it's crazy, but it's only lucrative because it's supported by men.
Got the demand.
It's a demand. So supply and demand. So, all right. Anybody have anything else before we wrap up tonight?
Yeah, I got a subject we can talk about maybe next Wednesday.
All right.
Let's discuss this. What's her name? The singer.
Leandria Johnson?
No.
Kim Burrell?
Kim Burrell. Yeah.
Kim Burrell.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be interesting to talk about that.
All right. We're gonna let you do the presentation and hosting next Wednesday.
Well, then I got to go and listen to it. I just heard about it,
I gotta go find out who that is.
Kim Burrell? Yeah.
Oh Lord. Sam say, I got to smoke. I got
I do. I mean, I heard about it. Just heard there was some kind of controversy. I got to go.
I've been watching.
So I have to find out who it is.
Okay, I tell you what. Then I'll stay the host, and I'll lead it in, and y'all can just comment. But yeah, go watch it. Her name is Kim Burrell, Bishop. She's the one that was a few years ago. Everybody got on her about preaching against the homosexuals.
So is she homosexual?
No, she was
No.
preaching against him. She's married to a man. She's a pastor, but she's a very famous gospel singer. And she's made some comments, you know, over the last few weeks, and everybody's trying to jump down her throat about it. You know, she's a very realistic person. But yeah, let's discuss it. Also, I'm going to have some clips up, but I think I'm going to do that on my new podcast channel. I want to do a response to Carlton Pearson. Carlton Pearson.
And I didn't get the video you were supposed to send as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll send it to you. Carlton Pearson said that anyone who preaches against homosexuality only does it because that's one of their issues.
Mm-hmm.
And that it has nothing to do with God or having a relationship with God or salvation. And they always come with this thing that because God is a loving God, he's not judging you for what you do. That's the biggest lie in the world. It says that he is going to judge every work, whether it be good or evil, that every man does. So don't tell me you won't be judged for your foolishness. You will. And your sins will find you out. Believe it. So anyway, thank you all for joining today. Tomorrow will be our round table, and we'll be there with Bishop LZ and Pastor McGee. So you guys tune in at 5 o'clock. We'll be online, and we're going to get into some good stuff tomorrow as well. I really do thank you all for coming on, and thank you all for allowing me to sign off last night. It was very important. My daughter wanted her daddy. My wife says, well, I could have taken her. She wanted her daddy. That's why she called her daddy. And sometimes we got to what? We got to be the daddy because that's what we are. We got to be more than a sperm donor. So yeah, that's my grandson's mother. And I love my baby, so I had to go see about her and sit with her. She snuck off tonight. She just texted me a little while ago, said she back there and she'll keep me posted because she knows if she'd have called me, I'd have been back out there. But so you all keep her in your prayers. Her name is Alicia. So pray for Alicia DACUS. Yeah, she has my name. Yeah. So anyway.
Stop that. Stop it. Brother is no good.
You saw Sam, huh?
You be thinking we can't see him.
Oh, Lord. It's always a pleasure conversating with you all. I hope we all, that, you know, this was a healthy conversation and we learned something. Because one of the things I do realize, and this is something we should all learn from Jesus's ministry. Jesus met the people where they are. They ridiculed him because, and they said, look at him. He's sitting and eating with the sinners. Well, he said he come for the sinners. He come that they, you know, that he could find the lost and save the lost. And if we can't reach out for the people who are struggling, and if we can't talk about these kinds of things for the purpose of helping and uplifting, we're not being effective in what we're called to do. And we're not just called to get up behind a podium and grab our ear and holler and squall and rag back, you know, and do all that stuff we do, the melodious sounds with the voice, and no. I think that we're in a time now, and I say this honestly, in a time now that when we preach, we should teach, and that we should teach the people in our preaching the precepts and oracles of God in such a way that they understand and that they make the choice to live according to God's commandments. We are never taught to browbeat or to force or make someone live right. The Bible says we're supposed to convince them, to win them, to persuade men. That's what he said, persuade them. Because I can't make anybody do anything. But if I have a persuasive argument, and I learn to speak with the love of God, and I learn to allow the Holy Spirit to speak through me to them, then God will be heard. And Jesus said, and I'll repeat it, if you love me, you love my Father who sent me. I don't need to make a case, and I don't need to beat you up about what you're doing. I merely need to tell the truth. And this is why I came up with the name, The Moment of Truth, because this is the moment of truth. And we must tell the truth because Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. God loves you and I love you. Ain't a thing you can do about it but love me back. And I hope that you love Jesus and love yourself enough that you would repent of your sins and allow him to be the Lord of your life and acknowledge him as your Savior. And I pray that you all have a wonderful, blessed evening. Look forward to seeing you all on tomorrow. God bless you all. Thank you again for tuning in. And even those of you who are going to be watching, even after we've already went off the air and are watching the rebroadcast, I pray that this blesses you and that you are sincerely blessed and helped by what we say, all in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God bless you. All right, you all. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
All righty, y'all have a good evening.
Okie dokie. All right, Bishop, we'll talk later.
Yeah.
Good night, Brother Sam, Sister Quit, and my girl.